My name is Lloyd Ross and I'm broadcasting from the RPM offices here in Southeast Queensland. And I'm here today to tell you not to invest in property until you know the 3 secrets to property investing success. And today I'm going to give you those 3 secrets. But before I do, I just want to give you a bit of a background about myself and my property experience. So growing up in Southeast Queensland here, I became a property agent, and I have a lot of agency with the major chains, and then became a property lawyer, and then went on to be involved in multi-billion-dollar real estate project developments across the world, and did a lot of financial feasibilities for those property investment projects. I've got a huge experience in property, and I have learned some very, very important success secrets when it comes to creating the best property investment plan for yourself. So I'd love to share those with you today. So let's just hook straight into it. Let's go with number 1. The first secret to property investing success is always to make sure you know your objective. And the objective of any investment is to make sure you're maximizing or getting a total return. All right, a return on your investment. Because that's why we invest. We invest to get a return on our money, to grow our wealth so that we can have a more comfortable retirement, look after our children, sleep better at night. So it's really important we have to understand why we're investing in property first. And the objective should always be total return. But what does total return mean? There are 2 parts to the return component of a property investment, and they are capital growth and yield. Okay? The capital growth part is how much the land grows in value over time. The yield part is how much cash flow is generated from the property from rent. Okay? So a lot of people you hear say, oh, I'm investing for capital growth, or I'm investing for yield. And the key is to actually do both. The best type of return you can get on property is capital growth. That is for certain. And the reason is because when you get capital growth, you don't have to pay out tax expenses every single year. You only pay tax on the capital growth when you sell the property. So if you hold it for 15 years, you're getting gains on your gains on your gains. And that compounded effect is what creates huge wealth. So we definitely want to have some capital growth, all right? So some sort of capital growth figure of say 4% would be great. Now some people, I know in Sydney it's like 14% sometimes. Even here it's been upwards of 16% in some years. But the reality is that the growth would be around 3 to 4%. Now, that's great, and you will get some more growth than that on occasion, but we also want to have some yield. Now, people will often say, well, I want to have high yield. I want to get a property that's giving me 6% returns in yield, which is great, but then if there's no growth, all you're doing is getting 6% yield, and then you have to pay tax on that 6%, so it becomes like 4.5%, which is not a really big return on your money, all right? Some savings accounts typically can get more than that. So the yield over here, we want it to be fairly steady as well, at about maybe 4.5 to 5%. So the reason we want to have some capital growth and some yield is because the capital growth will produce the wealth effect for us, and the yield is great because if we're borrowing money to buy a property, we need to have some cash flow to actually service the repayment of the debt. Okay? So the tenant will service the interest on the debt so we can buy the property, and the capital growth will provide the wealth creation that we're looking for. So together, the total return is the capital growth plus the yield, which is 8.5%. And 8.5% total return is better than a 6% yield and no growth, or an 8% growth and no yield. So we have to have a nice balance, okay? That's the first secret. The second secret is making sure we can identify the hotspots. So you often, perhaps you're talking to your neighbour, he says, oh, this place is a hotspot, or that place is a hotspot. How do we really determine what the next hot suburb is going to be, or the next hot location? And there's a few things we can do to actually work out where the future growth is going to come from. And there's a few things you can do. There's actually 3 things you can look at, which is population growth, then you want to look at job growth, and you want to look at infrastructure spending. Okay? If you go to hotspotting.com.au, you'll find that there's a report there that gives you all those figures. So you can actually do that yourself and plan your own property investing strategy using those 3 principles. So when it comes to population growth, the state of Queensland is growing at about 2% per annum. When we look for hotspots, we want to have like places that are 5 times the state average. Really strong growth, because we know if there's people moving to one area, It means the land there, which is a fixed asset or a finite resource, is steady, but the population growth is not, it's going up. So the land value goes up. The demand for the land is high and the supply is static, which creates great wealth out of land growth. So population growth is really critical. We have some suburbs now, the hotspots that we have, that are 35%. 35%, it's crazy. So we know that that's going to be new hotspots, okay? So we run after the population growth, and typically the reason the population goes there is because the job growth is very high. And usually there's things like retail development, schools, infrastructure, health, community facilities being constructed in those areas to satisfy the demand of the population. So those two things are critical. When you find them, you've got basically a hotspot, and you want to be into the hotspot before those things are built, before the retail, before the schools, before those things come. You want to make sure you're investing in there, and that's what we do here for our clients. So the third secret of property investing is to make sure, it's actually timing, but to make sure that you're not trying to time the market. We've got a saying here, and I use it all the time, that it's not about timing the market, it's about time in the market. And what that means is, quite often people, they think, mistakenly, that property values go like this, all right? Nice and steady, it's a nice, easy ride, yep, it's gonna double in 10 years, this is gonna be so easy, I'm just gonna sit back and watch my money grow. But reality is, this is what the property market usually does. Like that. So all here, you have to be patient for your growth, and then all of a sudden, boom, the demand increases dramatically and it goes up right there. So a lot of people, they'll get in up here because they realize it's popular to be in property, and they'll have to then wait another 8 years for the growth, okay? And they can get really impatient, and they might say, well, it's not grown in 5 or 6 years, I'm gonna sell it. And they make a mistake of selling it, and then again, of course, what happens? It goes up. So with time in the market, you don't have to second guess what the market's going to do, when it's a good time. All you have to do is, some point along this graph here, you have to buy. Okay, you just have to be in the market. And it's very hard to determine when that is, because you don't know when the market's going to plateau, go down, or go up, all right? So the key is, get in the market, and then have patience to hold the asset for 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. I know that's a long time, but the people that have made money in property are the ones that have the patience to hold it for at least 12 years, and then again through another cycle. It's compounded growth on compounded growth on compounded growth. And the person that mentioned that was, of course, Albert Einstein. That's why I have him on my desk there, because he tells me and reminds me all the time that the eighth wonder of the world is actually compound growth or compound interest. So it's really important that if you are investing, you have the patience and fortitude to wait, because that is where the wealth is built. Okay, flipping houses and this type of stuff, unless you're in the trade, you're really not going to make the money. So timing is very important, but to be time in the market. Okay, so they're the 3 secrets to property investing success. I hope you guys have got a lot of value out of that. If you follow these principles, you're certainly well and truly on your way to being able to put together a really great property investment plan for yourselves, so you don't have to work for the rest of your life, which is really the objective. So what we are doing, and what I want to explain to you guys, is I'm putting together a property investment education course, and we are going to launch that. It's four segments or 4 modules, and we are actually going to put that into our VIP exclusive Facebook group. So if you'd like to actually take advantage of that, it's going to be completely free for you guys. So if you want to join our exclusive VIP group, just simply click on the links here in this post, and then you can jump in the group, and I look forward to seeing you in there.